What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Leo coming to you guys with yet another video. Coming to you guys today with my Royal Rumble 2024 predictions. Royal Rumble is this Saturday, and I want to give you guys my predictions on the card as it stands right now. I think we have like about 4 matches, which is very short and sweet and to the point. Um, we're going to get into it with these different matches. I'm going to talk about how I feel like they're going to play out. I'm mainly going to do those mostly for the Royal Rumble matches and then probably talk about returns and surprises and stuff like that. So we'll get into that when we get to the Royal Rumble matches. But the first match we're going to be starting off with is for the United States Championship. Logan Paul defending against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens won a not a battle royal, but a tournament to give himself an opportunity for the title, which he ended up winning. And this gave him an opportunity to face for the championship at the Royal Rumble. I do think that they have definitely tried to amp up this match and feud the best way they could, and I think they have accomplished that. I do think the match is definitely going to be interesting and it's going to be watchable and good. But who do I think is going to win this match? I do think Logan Paul is going to retain. I just don't see them taking the title off Logan Paul right now and giving it to Kevin Owens. I think they're gonna definitely keep holding this championship for Logan Paul going into Mania. I think he's already confirmed to be at Elimination Chamber, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do something where the championship is up for grabs in their chamber match where he defends it against multi men and whatnot. And then we finally get to WrestleMania because I do think that they're setting up LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the championship at WrestleMania. So I do think that's the route that they're going. If that's the route they're going to go in, they got to keep the championship on Logan Paul. So I do have Logan Paul retaining the championship. The next match, the first two Royal Rumble matches, we have the men's match. We have Cody. I'm going off the people that have been confirmed. So if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the card and the people that have been announced for the match thus far. So we have the men's 30-man Royal Rumble match. We have Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Damian Priest, and Kofi Kingston. Now, um, pretty much Gunther, Damian Priest, and Kofi announced for their spots last night on Monday Night Raw. Um, Gunther had to stare off with Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins had this whole promo where he was talking about and giving everybody an update on his injury. If he gets surgery, it's gonna be 3 to 4 months, but he said he's still going to make WrestleMania. Walk in as champ and walk out as champ. Him and Gunther had their back and forth last night. That kind of plants a little bit of seeds. They plants a little bit of seeds of possible we could be expecting going into WrestleMania, a possible match that I think I would love to see happen at WrestleMania, but I really think it's going to come down to these two men, that being Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Their promo last night was fantastic. I loved it. That's probably like one of my favorite promos right now, going in wrestling right now. But I feel like I said it's going to come down to these two men. I think CM Punk is going to pick up the win and he is going to be pointing at that WrestleMania sign. I think this is definitely going to be another chapter in the story and the redemption arc for Cody Rhodes to try to get back to where he wants to be, and that's being a challenger for that Undisputed Universe Championship, which Roman Reigns is holding at WrestleMania. So I do think that it's going to be part of his chapter of his redemption story where he has to go through another obstacle, being maybe Elimination Chamber, and he ends up winning that. Or there's a situation where maybe someone from the bloodline ends up being part of this match, and then maybe um, they end up eliminating like a Solo Sikoa, costing him yet another opportunity to become champion at WrestleMania because he costed him the championship last year at Mania. Now he's costing the Rumble. I can see a situation like that playing out some way, somehow. CM Punk is going to be the one walking off with that Royal Rumble victory and going on to WrestleMania to compete for the championship of his choosing, whether it be Seth Rollins or being Roman Reigns. We don't know, but we will have to see. But I personally think it's going to be Seth Rollins, but we will have to see. But the next match we have to talk about is a fatal four-way for the Undisputed Universal Championship. We have Roman Reigns defending against Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. Now, I think when I was going into this pay per view, I was really thinking that this was going to be a straight up one-on-one match between Roman and Randy, but they did come out and talk about it. I think different content creators talked about it or whatnot. Reason why it's a fatal four because they don't want Randy taking a pin after just come back, and I feel like that is a great way. So when you look at it, it's a great way to keep Randy protected and to keep if they want to keep the championship on Roman, it keeps maybe that feud kind of going on a little bit. So it really doesn't affect Randy too much because you don't want him coming back and then automatically taking a loss. Yes, we've seen it happen before where somebody will come back and then take a loss, but Randy doesn't really need to take a loss right now. Maybe later on this year you can have him take a loss to whoever he feuds against, but not right now. I think right now he's very hot since coming back in at Survivor Series and stuff like that. So you want to keep him in a prominent role. You don't want to diminish and kind of take a little bit of the momentum away. But there's different scenarios that I've been hearing that could play out here. We could see Roman drop the title here, and I can possibly see it happening. I mean, it's a fatal four-way at the end of the day. I mean, it's a way to get the title off Roman where he might not have to take the pin, which can lead to, maybe we finally get that Rock and Roman match at Mania. Because I've been saying this for a long time. If we have that match, they do not need the title being involved in that feud because I personally believe if those two have the match for the title, it's going to be so predictable. Like it would take everything out of the match. Even if the match is good, we know it's predictable just because the championship on the line. But if we remove the championship um, part from the match, it makes it a little bit more unpredictable as far as we don't know who could win because it can go either way at that point. They could go with Roman, they can go with Rock, but having the title be a factor in the match would make it very predictable, and I don't think that's what they need to do. They should be making wrestling overall more unpredictable to where we don't know really where it's gonna happen. Not saying that everything um, that's predictable is bad. It's just I feel like it should be well balanced where there's some things where it's predictable but it makes sense. You know what I mean? But I feel like at the same time they should be starting making wrestling a little bit unpredictable as far as when we have these title matches or feuds and whatnot. We don't know who's gonna win this match. We don't know who's gonna win this feud. We don't know if they're gonna win this match for the title or not. That's what I'm saying. And when we look at Roman Reigns' title reign, every time it's predictable. Like every single time, it's always the same thing. The bloodline comes in, or like something like that always happens. Bloodline comes in. Roman Reigns spears guillotine. He wins. Ref bump every single time. I think they need to get away from that and do something new, fresh, and exciting. If they want to freshen up his title reign, because his title reign right now is very lackluster. People are like turning on him, and they're turning on the title reign because people really don't care about the title reign because he's never there for one. Then it's every time he has a match, he screws the fans over and then screws whoever he's facing over time and time again. Having the bloodline pay dividend time and time again, and it's repetitive and it's getting very boring. I'm just one of those guys that they need to shy away from that and do something new, fresh, and exciting. But who I think is going to win, I do think Roman Reigns is going to retain here. I would be very shocked if they have him lose, but I do have Roman Reigns retaining the title and then walking into WrestleMania, and hopefully he loses it there because I really don't think that they can drag out his championship reign for another whole year because they really don't have anybody. They haven't really built up anybody that seems like a threat. Like everybody that he hasn't faced yet hasn't been built up to even look like a threat whatsoever to him or his title reign. So they really don't really have anybody else. You know what I mean? But I do have Roman Reigns retaining. And the next match, which is the Women's Royal Rumble match, there's only four names that have been announced for this match. That being Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, Bayley, and Bianca Belair. Now, we still have a lot of well before I move on, I forgot to mention this in the men's part. You still have the potential, returns or surprise and stuff like that. We could be seeing Andrade make his return. We could be see Ty Dillinger make his return. We could see maybe a Big E make his return because he is from Tampa. So there's different scenarios. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have the Judgment Day be part of that match. So you have some more spots potentially being filled up and everything like that. But just wanted to put those little tidbits in there. Now, Now for the women's match, there's only four women named. Now you still have room to potentially use other wrestlers. You still have returns. You could still have maybe like a Trish Stratus, maybe a Lita. You have a Jade Cargill coming in, maybe a Mercedes Moné, maybe a Trinity. And because I know they've been saying she might be coming back to the Rumble, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Mercedes Moné. I know people have been saying she's probably going to go to AEW, but we don't know until it actually happens. So if she doesn't show up this week on Dynamite, then I mean, you can't rule it out. I mean, it still can possibly happen. Just imagine if she does show up at the Rumble, like that would be very huge. That would be groundbreaking. That would get the wrestling world talking for sure, because she is a very well household name, and she's done some great things even outside of the WWE. And now going back to the WWE, seeing how the kind of somewhat the landscapes kind of changed with like the leadership and everything like that. So that's definitely one thing to point out. But you got even like a Liv Morgan on her way back. I mean, she's gonna be trying to come back and try to win this thing. So, but I feel like I'm gonna go through the names that we have right now, and I'm gonna talk about it, and then I'm gonna rule it to two, like I did with the men's, and then we're gonna pick from there. Becky Lynch, I know she's definitely been a front candidate to win. After her feud and everything she's been doing this past year. Then recently her teases that she's been doing with Rhea Ripley and saying she needs that championship. She wants to face Rhea Ripley at Mania, and if she has to go to the Royal Rumble to do it, she's gonna do just that. You got Nia Jackson here. She's gonna be trying to win this thing. She's saying how pretty much the whole women's division fears her. She's saying how Rhea Ripley fears her, and she's scared for them two to face because she know Nia Jackson's gonna beat her. What better way to stamp that by having her win the Rumble in a dominant fashion, and then seeing what happens. Bayley, she has the potential. I think she is definitely a front runner as well. I mean, if you have her win, this can be similar to Batista and Evolution a couple of years ago, like years ago. You know what I mean? Where they had this Batista Evolution storyline where Batista won the Rumble and Evolution, they had their feud, and Evolution was telling him to go to Raw, win the WWE Championship, so we can all have gold. And then they end up having that segment where Batista had the contract and he did this and then did that, and then it led to Batista and Triple H facing for the championship at Mania, where so pretty much where Batista turned on Evolution. So you can have a situation where that happens. You can have a situation where maybe Bayley doesn't win the Rumble, and then you can have literally this week have Asuka or the Kabuki Warriors win the tag team titles, and you have Io with the women's championship. Now they're mad at Bayley. It's like, you said you were going to win the Rumble. You said you were going to punch your ticket to WrestleMania so we could all win gold, and you didn't. You failed yet again, and they get upset about it, and they turn on her, leading, and that takes Bayley out for a little bit. She comes back and she maybe wins like a number one contendership or like a elimination chamber to punch her ticket to face Io for the championship. I think that's a different route that you can go in as well. So there's different scenarios you can take with Bayley to get to the destination. I will say that Bianca Belair, she's trying to go for number two. She's trying to go for her second Royal Rumble victory. Same thing for Becky Lynch. Both of them have been former women's Royal Rumble winners, trying to go for number two to win it again, to go back and face for the championship at Mania once again. You have other people in there that's going to want to win that match. Like I said earlier, you're going to have a Jade Cargill. Like, she's going to want to make a big splash, and what bigger splash than actually coming in and winning the thing? That's going to be huge for her. But I just think for her, it's very early to tell. I think it's very early for her to win that. I think you should build up her up for a couple of months to a year, and then maybe next year you have her win the Rumble next year. I think she would definitely be a great pick to win that match next year. You have Liv Morgan. Like I said earlier, she's going to want to come back. She's going to want revenge on Rhea Ripley after everything that they've been through, from being turned on by Ripley after WrestleMania 38. From Liv Morgan, she was the last to beat Rhea Ripley when she joined Judgment Day. She's the only one that can say she's done that. I mean, they were the first and final two at the Women's Royal Rumble last year. You have, their history where a couple of months ago, Liv Morgan got taken out by Rhea Ripley a couple of months ago in the lead up to SummerSlam. So she's been on the show for almost 6 months now. So she is going to be wanting revenge and go on his revenge tour to where she can get back to Rhea Ripley and take down the woman that took her out and take that title in the process. So that is a great comeback story for her. So I really feel like it comes down to three women here. I know I said two, but it comes down to three women. It comes down to Becky, it comes down to Bayley, and it comes down to Liv. I think it comes down to these three women. I think Liv eliminates Becky. That's a huge moment for her because she's getting a huge elimination, and that kind of ties in a little bit of what I'm going to say a little bit later on. So stay tuned. And it comes down to the final two, Liv Morgan and Bayley. Liv Morgan is in territory she's been in before. She was the final two last year. She's going up against Bayley, and Bayley ends up eliminating Liv, and Bayley is the Royal Rumble winner, and she is going on to face the champion of her choosing at WrestleMania. This leads with Bayley and Liv because this ends up being a triple threat. Because Bayley is going to want to face Rhea, Liv is going to want to face Rhea. So they're going to do something probably between Chamber and Mania where it ends up being a triple threat, and it becomes a situation like WrestleMania 30 where Liv Morgan's like that Daniel Bryan going up against the bigger odds, and stuff like that. So I do think that's a route that they could go, a callback to WrestleMania 30 for over 10 years ago. That'd be a great callback, and you have Liv win there. Then I think that's a great way to kind of cap off that story. But I do my predictions for your men's and women's Royal Rumble winners this year: CM Punk and Bayley. But if Bayley doesn't win, I want it to be Liv. I've been saying it for a month now. I want it to be Liv. But if Liv doesn't win, I think Bayley is definitely going to be my pick. So I'm going to have not Liv, but Bayley and Punk to be your 2024 men's and women's Royal Rumble winners. But comment down below. Let me know your predictions for Royal Rumble. Who do you guys have winning the men's and the women's Royal Rumble matches? Where do you guys think this is going to lead to for a lot of these men and women that I did name in this video? But make sure you super kick that like button, super punch that post notification bell, and speed the subscribe button. We're on the road to 50 subscribers, but the ultimate goal is 10K by the end of this year. I know we can do it as a wrestling community. I know I can do it as a content creator. So let's make it happen. We're going to achieve big things in 2024, but I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.